Welcome to my tutorial on installing and setting up Brutal Doom version 19, which is a heavy modification set for Doom 2. You will need a lot of files to get started, including a program called ezDOOM, gzDOOM, all the Doom WAD and PK3 files that you will need. A lot of them are optional. It depends on what you actually want. Hello, that's not cool. It depends on what you actually want from your installation as to whether or not you get certain files. So if you check out my tutorial, you will see you need the Brutal Doom PK3 files, you'll need Doom 2 WAD files, and you will need files from any of this that you want. These are map packs, texture packs, sound effects, etc. Once you have these ready, you're ready to go. Find where you have ezDOOM downloaded to and copy it somewhere that you can easily run it from, like your desktop. Just in ezDOOM.exe, double click it to run it, and it's going to download some files to install it. It'll give you a warning asking if you want to install it, because it, for whatever reason, installs to a good location, but you can scan it and see that it's perfectly safe. Press install. It's going to download the ezDOOM required files, which are about 56 megabytes, I believe. Not a big download, but may take a little while depending on your connection. Go ahead and wait for it to download here. It should be pretty quick, but if you have a slower connection, just go ahead and find a little something else to do while it downloads. Shouldn't be too long though. Once your files are done downloading, it will install real quick and open up for you. Now you see it already has a couple Doom iWads, which are the actual game files, installed for you, but it doesn't have Doom 2, which is to me the best experience for Brutal Doom. And then it has a couple mods, which are the PWADs or PK3s that you could choose from. Go ahead and delete your ezDOOM.exe, you no longer need that. Now, like I said, for whatever reason, ezDOOM installs to a really weird location, so if you're looking to make a shortcut for it, it's in your app data roaming start menu programs, so I suggest just doing a search for ezDOOM and waiting for it to load, and it should find it for you. Then just drag your shortcut to the desktop, it should copy it there, and you're good to go. I don't know why it installs itself actually to a start menu folder. Maybe it doesn't, that's the only place I could find it. Now you have a shortcut for it and you can launch it whenever. Next you will need to add your your iWads and your PWADs, which are your game files and your map packs, your texture packs, all that jazz. The files that are important to install in the iWad folder is simply going to be your doom2.wad file. On here I accidentally added a couple others, but the important one to actually have in that is doom2.wad. That is your only actual game file. The rest are going to be map packs and things like that. So hit add, navigate to it, find doom2.wad, and it already actually has those map packs I'm importing in there by default. I just wanted to see what would happen. And then once you have your file selected, hit open. And it will add it to your list, so you can then drop down and choose Doom 2 to be the game that you actually want to run, because that's what we are wanting to run with this tutorial as Brutal Doom. Now go to your PWADs or PK3 selection and click add and find your Brutal Doom files. Now something important to note, as with if you're just using regular gzDOOM, it loads the files in the order you select them. So make sure you select them in the proper order that you want them to load. If you're using the metal soundtrack and the Doom sound effects, you need to make sure when you're choosing them in this menu here, you choose Brutal Doom first, then the texture pack or sound effects, and make sure your metal soundtrack is last, because the sound effects will actually overwrite the soundtrack, and you don't want that to happen. Then hit play, and it will load it for you. And these settings will be saved in the ezDOOM program so that you can run it whenever you want. And Doom 2 will load. Click, and it will load for you the Brutal Doom menu. Now when Doom launches, it's probably going to have some very below what you would want video settings and things like that. So you're going to want to make sure you set it up to display at the optimal display and video options that you would like on your machine. So go to video mode first and find your resolution. I had to make only the aspect ratio of 16:9 show in order to find 1920 by 1080, set it, and it launches and runs fine. Now, I'm moving from the bottom up just because it seems to make the most sense as far as getting your graphical settings to where you want them to be. Then you can adjust things like, I don't entirely know what setting screen size affects. You can set camera correction, vertical sync, brightness, contrast, that kind of stuff. Change what kind of screen melt setting or screen wipe settings you want. I'm gonna turn it on to burn. Show the ezDOOM screen. Not entirely sure what that is. Turn it on just to see what it does. Fuzz effect is for shadows, basically. You can set it to fuzz or shadow. I'm setting it to shadow. You can change lost shadow translucency. I'm going to turn that down a bit. Fake contrast on. Now here is where you get into particles. You can either set it to be pixelated sprites like the classic Doom, or particles. I'm actually going to turn things to sprites and particles, except for this one only has particle options, so that's what I'm going to have. And you can turn this up a little bit, but it's not recommended, as that turning up the number of particles actually is the biggest source of lag in running this, although it does look really, really cool. Turn on depth camera, and we're good to go. Go to OpenGL options. Here you can change things based on what you want. Totally customizable for whatever you need. I'm not really going to mess with much there. Texture options. Here you can set up your filtering and things like that. As you can see immediately when I turn that off, it went really pixelated. We're going to turn that back up to trilinear so it smooths it out. Turn on anisotropic up. Leave texture format. High-res textures, yes. High-quality resize mode. Turn that up to... oh, hang on, move the mouse. HQ 4 times, just so it looks better. Resize textures on, sprites, all that. Pre-catching textures if you can support it. Not really worried about it. Preferences. Here you go again. Just lots of settings for you to set. Whatever settings I am setting may work well for you, I certainly recommend setting your own. You know, playing around with them, seeing what works best for you. A lot of this is basically based on, you know, deciding whether or not you want the classic experience versus a bit more modern looking experience. I definitely want smooth edge on. We want smooth particles, ambient light level, turn that up a little bit. Render quality, turn that to quality. Dynamic buffer, that's fine. Okay. Then we can move up to sound. And this is mostly just volume sliders. That's basically all you have to worry about. Resampler, you know, there's things you can set for that if you want, but I'm not really all that worried about it. Just default for the most part. I have 5.1 surround, so we'll turn that on. Advanced options, lots of things you can change. For Doom, I really just don't recommend screwing with it. Miscellaneous options, you have some weird controls. You can turn on cheats, autosaves, things like that. I'm going to turn on 6 autosaves, I think is what I had it on. And then move up to HUD options. You can change whether or not you want an alternative HUD on. I leave mine off because I prefer the default heads-up display. Crosshair color, if you want to change that. I'm leaving mine on. No, I want mine to be green, actually. I remember I changed that. I'm going to change it to bright green so it's easy to see. Grow crosshair when picking up items, yes. And default crosshair is going to be, I'm going to make it an X. Scale crosshair, I would recommend leaving this off. It sounds like a good idea, but what happens is it ends up just making it really big. It doesn't, you know, it scales it up for your resolution and doesn't really do a whole lot with it. You can turn on name tags for items, or weapons, or both. I'm actually going to turn on both just because it makes it a little cooler. Don't really need it, but, you know, why not? Change some options there. Auto map options, just kind of going to leave that alone. Compatibility options. You can change a lot of things here. Again, you're going to have to look up what all of this does. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but there's a lot you can do with it. I'm not really going to mess with much of it at all. There's some of it are cheats, some of it, you know, it's like there's some mutators for it, things like that. Not really all that worried about most of it. We just did command player setup. Here you can set your name and change your character. So we're going to make our character Epos Vox, of course. Team is not really applicable here since we're not doing multiplayer. Because you need the Zandronum, I think it's called. What's it called? Yeah, I think it's called Zandronium interpreter, which ezDOOM does not use. You can change your color, make it whatever you want. I'm going to be black. Class, you can't change that at the moment. I think that applies to something else. Same with that. You can be a female. Doesn't look any different because you're in a friggin' auto suit. Switch on pickup. Always run. I keep off. You can see the back of your character there for whatever reason. Joystick options. If you're using a mouse and keyboard, make sure that is set to off. Mouse options. Enable mouse, absolutely. Cursor, we're gonna make it... We're gonna make it the system cursor because I can barely see the other one. Overall sensitivity, I do believe I need to turn that down. I just usually toy with that in game. Always mouse look on. We want to look with the mouse. We want to look with the mouse. Customize controls, here we go. Fire is going to be mouse 1. Secondary fire, which is your actual aim down the sights for Brutal Doom, that's going to be mouse 2. Weapon reload is going to be this button for me, also R. Weapon zoom is going to be the middle mouse button for me. Use is going to be E or that mouse button, which isn't working. That's not working, that's fine. Okay, it's going to be E or space, although I'm about to change space to be jump. Crouch is going to be control. I'm not going to worry about flying because we're not going to be flying. Run is definitely going to be shift. Alright, scoreboard's going to be tab. Alright, movement. Make sure you set it to WASD because it's not set to WASD by default. It's set to arrow keys for whatever reason. Because this is a really old game. And then there's chat options, which you're not going to use again because this isn't multiplayer. Activation, next item things, I just kind of leave all that the same because you don't mess with it a whole lot. Kick for Brutal Doom is on Q. Reload is also going to be on mouse 5 for me, or R. And then that's offend is F, which is like a flick off a taunt, I think, and then some one-liners and things like that. And that's pretty much all you need to get started here. Now we are going to run a new game just to test our options here. We're going to do full ultra violence. And as you can see, the high quality texture pack is in effect. I'm recording at 30 frames a second, running at 60, although it's bouncing around a little bit. And this is pretty interesting. I don't know what's actually changed between my Brutal Doom running just ezDOOM setup and my ezDOOM setup is. But in my ezDOOM setup, I was able to record 30 frames a second and be getting like 120. So I'm not sure quite what the difference is. Definitely need to turn down mouse sensitivity here, and that's what I mean about going in here and really playing with your options a little bit. I'll turn mouse sensitivity down to 0.5, see how that feels. Still really sensitive. Mouse options, turn it down to... Can I even turn it down more? No, I cannot. Alright. We're gonna make it work. Headshot. Headshot. All the kill, all the kill. Alright. And then we're gonna try the offend, that's F, yep. Middle finger. J is a taunt, which did not do anything. Alright, and then you have the boot on Q. Oh, hello. Did not expect any more company here. As you can see, particle effects on the fire. Looks really freaking cool, okay? I think it looks really freaking cool. Get your health potions. Oh god. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then the metal soundtrack should be playing in the background, as well as the higher quality sound effects if you loaded them correctly in ezDOOM. And that's about it. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.